Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to the Gemini channel. My name is Laura. If you're new to my channel, I'm going to do a general message for Gemini. Know that energy is fluid. Roles can be reversed. Just interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Also know on this channel and all my channels, I like to dive deep within the reading. So I do look at everything, but we take more time to look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, to see how they play out as karmic themes, help you understand why everything's playing out the way that it is. Really important when you're dealing with a past life karmic mate, because those people come into our lives mainly to teach us about ourselves. And what they're teaching is where we are spiritually blocked. Spiritual blockages are created from living in environments or living around a person that is imbalanced. And when I say that, it's like mostly every environment that we go into is imbalanced because nothing is perfect. Only God's perfect. Man-made structures are not perfect. So, even the families that we're born into obviously aren't perfect because it's whatever's going on in the environment. A lot of times our grandparents lived through wars. They fought in wars. So they have habits and behaviorisms that are in alignment with whatever collectively was happening. And so when there's blood that's shed on a spiritual level, that means there's covenants. And wherever there's covenants, there's vows. And these vows are what actually block us from being able to manifest. See, there's spiritual consequences for, killing other people. There's, spiritual consequences that manifest as, physical reality consequences, whether that's poverty consciousness, whether that's relationship problems. Again, everything that is happening in the physical realm is happening because there's spiritually something that's going on psychologically and emotionally. So we can actually heal certain experiences. And when I say heal, that means break karmic cycles. Karmic cycles are just experiences that continue to play out within our life, just with different people or different scenarios. But the karmic theme is the same, which is what makes us perceive things about ourselves and the world around us. We form, perceptions about ourselves due to those experiences. And it's what solidifies that reality. So we can actually heal any experience, but we have to understand the spiritual significance, and then integrating the spiritual lesson is seeing how we contributed to the imbalances within the situation, but also we have to alchemize the negative energy. Just because the experience is finished doesn't mean that that emotional energy has dissipated. A lot of times we suppress that energy becomes repressed, and we feel that it's a part of us. It's not a part of us, but we have formed a habit and a behaviorism due to that perception, which makes us feel that it's a part of us. All right. Anything of any importance or relevance to the channel, you can find in the description box. Know that the readings have a therapy style to them, again, to help you understand. And anything important or relevance, again, you'll find in the description box. All right, let's see what the underlying energy is. The underlying energy tells us why everyone does what they do. Really important when you're dealing with a person that wears masks. They want you to perceive something, but we don't know why they want us to perceive whatever they want us to perceive. So let's see. The underlying energy is empathy. One more. I don't like this energy. I feel it already. And it's like, and fear. Well, I feel like you're in separation from someone that knows that you don't really want to hear their excuses anymore. There's a very strong sensitivity like that empathy is sensitivity. It's a past life connection where I feel like this person would be able to talk to you and you always gave them advice or made them feel like whatever it was okay. And so this person is coming to the point where they feel like whatever they say, that you're not really going to feel sorry. You're not really going to have empathy for them. So the underlining energy is that they're fearful that you're not going to have empathy for them. So you're in separation from somebody. And I feel like there's someone that's very selfish. The whole point of why you are in separation from this person. So the underlining energy is that. Now let's see what else is going on in this person's head. Please forgive me. And like I said, they're in a place, their energy of fear, because they don't think that you're going to forgive them, because they know that they were selfish. You are the love of my life. Now you might say that, well, this person never acted like I was the love of their life. Well, like I said, people that have spiritual blocks, they do one thing, but that's not really what they think and they feel. Usually they're afraid to show what they think and feel. So they, give a little too little. People that have a second chakra imbalance, they either overgive or undergive. People that are, not comfortable emotionally because of how they feel about themselves are not going to give that much. They find you incredibly attractive. So at surface level, is I'm passionate about you. People wouldn't stick around long enough to learn a spiritual lesson. What you know is that this is a spiritual connection, because that's the way that this reading started. The sensitivity, the empathy, ESP through the heart and mind. It's like this person normally felt like I could come to you and you were understanding. You were my person. I knew that you were my person. However, that doesn't mean that they treated you well. We're seeing what they feel now. They have sexual fantasies about you. And so spirit says when there's it's a soul relationship and a person needs to learn lessons and they're on a lower vibration, they're not really going to stick around long enough unless there was a very strong sexual chemistry. The issue is that past life karmic mates can feel a lot like twin flame connections. The issue is that this person's not on a twin flame level, which is where they're ready to step it up, is what you saw here. What you saw here now that they're in regret, they might be, though. We don't know. That's why we're doing the reading. Because understand, every past life karmic mate has an opportunity to evolve in every lifetime, but they're not usually going to just come in doing the right thing. They usually mess up. The thing is that they can come back and apologize and be humble and do things differently instead of from the ego. They feel controlled by people around them and they don't like it. So it's pushing them to find their power again. I feel like this person they may not be married anymore, but there was someone from the past that was still making them feel guilty, still making them feel responsible. And I feel like because this person doesn't really, I don't want to say have an identity, but when we have hobbies and passions and interests, we're not, our past relationship. We don't give too much time. We don't let other people make us feel responsible. I feel like this person was, whoever they were with in the past, had beat them down pretty much. And, they, for a long time, they lived from that level like it was okay because that's what they thought about themselves. But the thing is, it's like you make them want to have a better life because there is like that fantasy element of I'm sexually attracted to you. What would life be like if we got together. It's a form of escapism, because whoever they were with, they weren't giving that energy to that person. So they were living very detached and compartmentalized, which was, I felt connected to someone. So I was giving, but connected to someone through, lower energies, which is guilt, shame, victimization, where I feel like this person might have, not wanted to be sexual with that person for a long time. And as a result, they lived more like friends and not really friends. There was a lot of anger, a lot of resentment. This person felt responsible. The relationship was over, but they still were kind of being controlled and manipulated. But again, having a very strong sexual, connection to someone and having that spiritual connection, it's like they want more. It's like it being connected to that is something that will take energy, zaps energy, makes you tired, lethargic, like, boring, And so this person that wants to feel that way, they want that type of energy. See, their heart is opening and it is guiding them back to you. They feel like it, whether or not they're consciously saying, I'm coming back to you. They just feel like, because it's a spiritual connection and they tried to stay away, it's not like this energy is getting less, it's becoming stronger, because you can't control love. It's like, and their situation is like, like they're being controlled by people that, they're not attracted to. They don't want to live a life with that person. It's like whatever happened, it's just what they want, but they can actually handle are two different things, because I feel like sometimes the feelings are so intense where it's so real. And remember, this person lived with whatever they were connected to, detached, disassociated, numb, their situation. So now it's, again, they have to feel this deep connection. And so, in order to live the way that they were living, they had to have a lot of suppressed emotions. This connection makes them feel, and they become afraid. So sometimes they, like, again, run from it because it's so real. It makes them have to reflect on themselves. It makes them have to, do the healing, especially if they were living connected to someone else, feeling guilty, feeling responsible. Really, they were avoiding life. It's like, that's the thing. They feel connected to you because they say one of us sad or angry. And so what happens is it's like they can feel that. And it creates like an energy match. They want you to stay positive. They, so that you can elevate it. Because when it's a soul's connection, ESP, through the heart and mind, I feel like this person, whatever they did in the past, they hurt you. And so there's this sense of insecurity, that they don't really know whether or not you're going to want to go back with them. Whoever they were with, remember, beat them into the ground. So they don't have a very high self-esteem about themselves, regardless of whatever they showed you. It says, I'm looking for a way out of this situation so I can be free. So this person is tied up with in a relationship that they're not really even in. It's like, whether or not it's, again, this a past relationship that ended a long time ago, where this person just feels responsible because, they might have kids, they might have, whatever. There are millions of different, it's a collective reading. So again, I'm feeling like somebody cheated. And so they felt like bad that they cheated. They feel like they're a piece of crap. They got guilty because of the kids. They need to stay there for the kids. They need to stay because the person, his health isn't good. I feel for some, like, there's all different excuses, but the bottom line is they're with someone that manipulated them, that beats them down into the ground, that makes them feel like they're responsible, that they have to be there, but they don't want that life. And they didn't realize that they were missing out on it until like you were out of their life, is what it looks like here. And it's like now, it's like, remember, if a person's able to beat someone down into the ground to make them responsible to the point that they're giving up a life, there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of like core beliefs that this person has about themselves, because no one would be able to make a person feel that way unless they actually felt that way, And so, you know, but we have to come to a point where we say, well, let me do whatever I can do, and then you have to let me be free. Where that karmic person is like, oh no, you're never going to be free. I own you. And this person was like okay with it until you came along, is pretty much what I'm seeing. And it's because, hey, they're with somebody that they don't have a sexual anything. There's nothing. It's like it's just like a towel. And so, and they, of course, they don't want that. They want to be in a relationship where they feel love, where they have that connection. And this person is going through physical and emotional ascension symptoms, and they need space to rest. But from a higher perspective, they're releasing old energy. And that's the awakening of, again, I want more. I can actually have this. I don't really need to. I need to figure out how to get out of this situation, though. I need to figure. So I feel like this person you're connected to feels like whoever's hanging onto them is like a little bit crazy, a little bit bipolar. So they're also like afraid of how that person's going to deal. And that's just a covert narcissistic way, right? To keep this person stuck, to make them feel responsible. And that's the thing. And this person also worries, is they're like, don't be tempted to disconnect from source. Our connection to source is the love and healing we require for reunion. So source is God. God is unconditional love. Past life karmic mates, they recognize there is a very spiritual connection. But that doesn't mean that this person's 100% healed. What we see is it's that, again, expand your concept of a twin flame. It's more than a romance. It's deep soul activation to heal in order to embody love and light. And it's because they've never felt love like this before. And so, it's overwhelming, but it's a twin flame connection. But what you're not seeing the romance part of it at all. What you're seeing is that this person was tied to somebody else, that they would have been able to stay connected to that person, being guilted, being manipulated, making them feel responsible. But it's the fact that they have so much passion and there's like a desire to like be with you, that they're like, I don't really want to stay connected to this person, and I don't really feel guilted anymore. It's like this person was reacting from their inner child wound, like when they dealt with you, and also how they dealt with this person, feeling responsible, letting their person feel guilted. And what this person is seeing is that they need to be a stronger like person spiritually in order to be a better partner to you. They weren't spiritually healed. They didn't even believe that they were deserving of a good life. That whoever they were connected to, they felt responsible. They felt like they were like being a good person, almost like a martyr, And it's like, and you can only live that way for so long. They felt like they could deal with it. And I'm sure that this person lived a double life a little bit in order to deal with it. But they never met anyone that made them want to do it. It's, again, separated together. We are working in tandem. Again, twin flame energy. So this person's like, they didn't know that this was going to happen. They've never experienced it before. That's why, again, there's a sense of an awakening. An awakening of what? It's, again, well, that they can have a lot more than what they're living. It's the awakening of the fact that they're bound to like a Jezebel spirit, pretty much, that's making them feel responsible, that's guilting them, that's, again, pounding them to be into submission, where it was okay. but not now, because it's almost like, well, it was okay eating the same thing every day until I was introduced to whatever it was that was new. Now I have a desire for that. And that's because that's what happens when a Jezebel spirit's around. It wants to control and dominate to the point that this person doesn't really even have a life. They can't have a life because a life would require friends and other things, which that Jezebel spirit is going to be like, no, you're not going anywhere from me. You're responsible for me. And I'm sure that part of the appeal is the fact that, you part of the appeal is that you don't control, you don't want to dominate. It's like, and that's the thing. That's how this person knows where it's that they can't. They had a lot very clouded vision for a while. Again, clouded vision, and the reason why is because they were so close up to the picture, with that karmic, that they felt like they were doing the right thing. So I feel like when they met you, they, rushed, and they did have like kind of fell head over heels, but almost like where the relationship was so fast that, of course, you didn't know about that person. You didn't know that they were connected to someone else. And in this person's mind, that they're not really connected. It's more like a responsibility. Nevertheless, you would not, no one in their right mind would say, well, it's a responsibility. You're connected to someone else. I don't care what you want to say. But they fell head over heels. There was a connection. Twin flame connection is going to do that. So the thing is, it was like, it would have wound up just being like one long affair because, hey, they weren't strong enough to deal with Jezebel spirit, That's really what it is. And so what pushed them into the dark night of the soul is the fact that they had an epiphany that, hey, you're their twin flame, and that's the thing. But they need a lot of healing because being connected to a Jezebel spirit, well, they have a lot of barriers towards love. They have a lot of, they protect themselves like too much. They also like tend to like not know who they are. So, when a person doesn't really know who they are, they wear masks and things are like superficial, but no, it's because they're covering up what they know that is fragmented, being connected to somebody else that they're going to pretend isn't there. And not really having an identity, because if you're giving time and energy to someone that you're pretending isn't there, then what aren't you creating with that time, right? It's where we put our time, our energy, our focus, our money. And if we don't put anything towards our energy towards those areas, nothing grows, nothing makes a way. So it's the way that Jezebel spirit was able to keep this person like kind of stuck. But this person had a lot of feelings for you and they didn't want to miss their chance. And so their way was to kind of keep you like hooked, but never really give anything, not really be serious, and kind of come across a little bit childish and come across a little bit. And part of that is because on an emotional level, this person was not ready to deal with a relationship like this. Not if we're connected to that person and setting boundaries. But that doesn't mean that they didn't have feelings. They had feelings, but like a child that walks into a candy store and says, oh, I want all this candy, they're not logically thinking about anything except for getting the candy. That's like this person, the level of consciousness, but it didn't mean anything except for there was wishful thinking on this person's part. It's like where, again, I'm not going to look at the problems. I'm going to pretend that they're not there because I don't know what to do with this person. It's like, and there's no harm, and maybe it might not work out with you. Of course, it's not going to work out with you or anyone else as long as that person's there. But again, this person lied to themselves because they felt responsible, because they felt bad. So that's the thing. This person's wind up now really coming in and like really needed to seek wisdom and prayer, and that twin flame will always make a person go to God. Again, always. It's like that's the whole point of those relationships, to make this person like surrender and really be like, I really don't know what to do, because they feel bad, but they're not coming from their true sense of self. They're coming from a place of thinking that they're not deserving. So, like I said, there was a lot of that. And now, when we see what are they going to do, well, it looks like they're trying to get out of that situation. That's what it looks like to me. You know, I feel you even though we're apart. Again, we already know that twin flame connection. You know, they hid behind material things. They want to know, like, again, they to make themselves feel better. Again, if a person is not creating a life because they feel responsible to be connected to someone, they had to get something out of the deal. And what it was stuff. And I feel like that stuff gave this person an identity, made them feel better about themselves. But again, they couldn't help it. It's like there's a difference between buying stuff that fulfills you for a little while, but then this constant like passion and attraction to someone that you really have feelings for. It's like it grows. And so that's the thing. This person doesn't want to be friends. And it's not like they haven't thought about it. They still stay awake thinking about it. Like, and that's how they know, like, hey, this is real. But did this person know? They knew exactly what they were doing, because they were connected to that person. There was a loyalty. There was a thing, but so many things remind them of you. And, you know, if they left you before you would see the truth. So you want to know why they acted the thing. The thing is that the person just can't stop thinking about you. So that's the thing. They acted, and now it's almost like now I'm stuck with the person that I didn't want to be with, and I'm giving loyalty to the person I don't want to be with. And so it's again making this person really think, make them go into prayer, because they're confused. Because when you're around somebody that clearly there's still an emotional connection where this person feels responsible. So that, again, it seems like it was a relationship that's been dead for a really long time. And the one person doesn't really want it to be over, but they're angry and they're never going to forgive. So there's been no passion, no anything, just where your person's been beat down and connected and trying to please this person, and they're like, I don't want to do this anymore. So they kept you on the hook because they really didn't know what to do, is what it looks like. But they know that you're leaving them behind, because you're like, well, you're there, you're not here, you're not doing shit for me, you know. And that's the thing, is so this person's tried to forget about you. They've tried to suppress it. They've tried to do everything. They can't. That's because you can't control love. You can't control what's real. It's like, again, they did not plan on meeting you. They were not looking for you. This happened, but it's making them become a better person, because it's not cool to live a double life. And they're not really doing anything. You know, they're not benefiting this person that they're connected to, because that person's never going to be like happy. They're never going to be able to fix it. The trust is already shot. The sex is already gone. There's no passion. That second chakra is destroyed. You know why? No intimacy, no trust, no passion. All the same chakra. So yes, it's like I feel responsible. Yes, we had good memories, and it's not everything was horrible. There would be a lie if I would say everything was horrible. No, they created some memories, but again, the love is dead, and it has been dead, the passion. So thing is, this person is realizing I messed up everything, and I messed up everything that I wanted, because of loyalty that I gave to somebody else that I don't even want to stay connected to, that relationship is already fucked up because I fucked it up a long time ago. So, like, and really that's why the karmic was trying to do, we'll call them the karmic, because you better believe that karmic knows that if this person's able to get away from under their spell, it's because that there's someone else. So they're like, oh, I'll be damned that you're going to go somewhere else and be happy after, like, when you were supposed to make me happy. So there's this, you were supposed to make, like, you were responsible, where this person did not meet the quota for, like, whoever they were connected to. So there's a lot of bitterness. And when you're connected to someone through bitterness and resentment and anger and these lower energies, it's a trauma bond. So it gets confusing because it's almost like the karmic saying, I'm your twin flame. And this person was getting confused, like, well, maybe this is what a twin flame is. Like, it's distorted. But it's like, over time, a person like, this is not a twin flame connection because I don't want to be in it. It's like, I don't want that. But they were like, I feel like I was just a distraction from your pain. Because why would you? Because I saw you for everything that you were. But if they were connected to someone else, you didn't see everything about them. You saw them for who they could be and who they want to be. But they were not that person. And that's what it's showing this person. And they're saying, well, I must have been a distraction, from your pain. But because, again, it goes back to the attraction, which Spirit says that attraction is going to be there because this person wouldn't move their ass otherwise. Healing doesn't feel good. They have to stand up to Jezebel, and they don't want to do that because Jezebel's like going to throw a temper tantrum and act like a narcissist and make them pay for making them, ruining their life, and they already feel like shit about it. And so it's then growing pains, but this person can't help it. And they're starting to understand what the connection is. And they feel like this energy gives them energy. This relationship rather gives them energy because it's intoxicating. Because when you love someone, it's like, oh, I get energy. When you have feelings for someone, it lifts you up. It gives you energy. And that's the thing. And they can't help it. And they want to feel that way again. So it's just that simple. It's like, do they know that it can work out with you? No. But that's their desire. That's their want. And what they know is, I can't stay connected to this person any longer. So whether they're going to be with you or not, they don't want to be with that person. And that's what they're realizing. But they know that they need to do it. And this is why they did what they did. So the best that you can say is, why did you attract this person? If you're a mirror of what comes into your life, what are you supposed to learn? Like, if they are your twin flame and they are coming back, know that in separation is when most of the healing for a twin flame connection happens. It's the fact that twin flames learn that the love is really unconditional, because during separation, that connection is still there. A lot of times when you're born into families where you're taught that love is conditional, there's fragmentation. So you meet your twin, that's your other half, where they're not really your other half. What they have is gifts where you have wounds, and you have wounds where they have gifts. So you bring out the best in each other, but you also can bring out the worst in each other, because there's going to be triggers, there's going to be pain, but the unconditional love that's there, which is taught through separation a lot of times, is the fact that, you just can't help it. The unconditional love brings you to a place of spiritual equilibrium, which is I surrender, where instead of I want to control, where when you grow up in an environment where you're taught love is conditional, you want to control because it's fear. So it becomes a second chakra imbalance, where you can see that person for sure has a second chakra imbalance. They're not living their true self. They're living someone else's narrative because of guilt. But you have to say, why would you be connected to that person? Because again, what do you need to heal? Because again, during separation is when a lot of your healing is done for twin flame. And it doesn't mean it's comfortable. It's not comfortable at all. That's why you're getting your twin flame, because they bring it out and you're like, I just can't help the fact that I do have strong feelings for this person, even though they're not deserving of it. So we look at the inner child wounds and we look at the sacred wounds. And then we look and see how you're supposed to transmute that negative energy, because just integrating it isn't going to be enough. Integration is seeing how did you contribute to the imbalances. The relationship doesn't work unless two people are playing the game per se, right? So we look, and the first card out is neglect. Second card out is play, inner authority, innocence, friendship, guidance, imagination. Let's see, what is this? Isolation. I have a ton of cards here. And one more is support. All right. I gotta get some of these other cards out of here. I love my keyboard. I love everything. Just all right, so let's look, and we see when it sees support and we see neglect, guidance. So I don't really see a lot of abuse, like where physical abuse, but neglect could be, you've just felt like there was no one there. There was no support. Like your support, you created yourself. And it could be because you grew up with a single mom. It's, or both parents were working all the time. Support really when it's the attachment style a lot of times. So if you had an avoidant parent, it's like, and they just weren't a hands-on parent, it could be seen as neglect. Nevertheless, when there's no guidance, we don't feel safe. When there's no support, we don't feel safe. And it shows also isolation. Now, to me, whenever a person doesn't feel comfortable to tell their parents what's going on in their life, for whether they just don't feel like I want to put that pressure on my parent because they're always working, or I, can't tell them because they might get mad. The kids then have to heal on their own. And then what they do is they go into isolation in order to do that is what makes them feel safe. So it goes back to the support, the neglect. And so the child that has to do that over time, that's so stressful. So they detach, they disassociate. And what they do is they go into the imagination, right? So the child that survives thrives because they go into the imagination. That's the way that they escape. But the problem is they're not grounded, and they then tend to look for the love and the support outside of themselves. So I always hate this card because this is like the friendship card, and what you'll see is the person's not really a friend. They're like a frenemy. So attracting people that neglected you, that don't support you, that there's you're not getting that emotional connection. So, I mean, did you have gifts? Yeah, there's inner authority. And inner authority means your own intuition. Your own intuition is what leads you. But if you grew up in an environment where you felt neglected and you felt like you didn't get what you needed, then we tend to come more from a survival perspective, not because even our parents didn't mean to. If they worked, if they, the parent was sick, it's whatever the child's perception is. Their feeling it was, I didn't get my needs met. I know what that feeling is. And when a child has gone through that experience, they've embodied that consciousness, and that becomes the fear. And so you wind up holding on to that fear. We don't do it subconsciously. So it goes back to the attachment style. And so Spirit said, you know, every family like that you're born into, there's going to be imbalances. There just are, because there's no perfect. And so we just always look at the perception from the child self. And it also matters what was happening during that time, right? If a parent like became sick, or if you like had something traumatic happen, and that parent was always there but they just weren't there that time, that is the imprint. So it doesn't even need to be something majorly traumatic, but we all form wounds because of it. So this wound would be is about codependency. Now codependency happens when we need to heal, from like fragmentation that we have. So what this shows up as relying too much on others for validation and support, often neglecting your own needs, because your validation and your emotional support comes from what other people think and feel. And so this was a wound that you had, which is also why you would attract somebody that was fragmented, right? So this says boundaries, not that like terrible at setting boundaries, and feeling unworthy, and feeling like not loved, constantly giving but never really getting back, which then creates a lot of resentment. The codependency does that. So, and that happens when people are neglected, when people perceive that they were neglected and they emotionally didn't get what they needed growing up. And the reason could be anything, you know what I mean? It's a collective reading. So I felt a few, but it could be anything. It's like you didn't get what you needed, so then there's this fear of no one's going to be there for me, or I need to have someone there for me. So it becomes like this attachment style where you have anxious attachment, and then you attract avoidant attachment. And so where that person was an avoidant attachment, but the connection is a real connection. But what you have then is a runner chaser. And then we see this again, like the family of origin. So it's like it shows up as deep rooted patterns of unworthiness, fear of rejection, or a need to, overperform in order to be loved. Love is conditional. So it's these deep wounds about you due to how you didn't get your needs met. So Spirit's saying you have to transmute that negative energy, because the codependency is showing that you have fragmentation, like you have shadows that are blocking you, and it's due to the fact that emotionally you didn't get what you needed. And it's because it came up as neglect. So you have to give it to yourself. You have to reparent yourself, and you reparent it by alchemizing the energy. And you alchemize that energy by, first and foremost, taking a big leap of faith that pushes you out of your comfort zone, and that's, you can't get healthy, spiritually healthy, by staying in the same place that got you sick, right? So in separation, a lot of times that's where healing's done. And Spirit's saying it's like, find yourself. It's like, imagine the limitless potential, envision it. The only limits that you have for what you want in life are you. The person that you connected, that's your twin flame, like I said, they're your mirror. They're your other half. They're your person. They came into your life to teach you. Again, you're not meant to be with that person yet, because they're still healing. And Spirit says, and that's to know your worth. So part of you doesn't know your worth, but you get to see when you go into the unknown, because again, like you find new perceptions about life, about what you want, about who you are. You don't know everything because, hey, part of you, didn't have the support in order to. And now that you're an adult, you don't need the support you can give to yourself. So again, you go out into the unknown, you find the wonders in you, find that the wonders of the world, the things that stir up your soul. That's how the universe makes a way where there is no way for you. When you find those things and you invest in the things that you're passionate about, then you meet other people that also are like-minded. Otherwise you can't transform. But this situation was mainly helping you transform. When you find your twin flame, that's what your twin flame is supposed to help you do, to transform. But it doesn't mean that they're, they awaken wounds and they hold space, but inevitably you're the one that does the work. And the experiences that you're given are helping you to heal in separation, so that when you come back together as a divine union, you're able to step into the best versions of yourself, not so that you go back into the same exact situation that you were before, because you're not going to be the same person. It's like the whole point of going into the unknown, where you find different elements of yourself. What you're seeing is, wow, I still have feelings for my twin flame, which again, after being on a bunch of different journeys and finding yourself, you would know whether you still like that person and whether they were really your person. Second of all, you want more for yourself. So the person that you're meeting again is different because they've also done work. That's why twin flame, it's usually on, off, on, off, on, off. And that relationship is something that takes years to really unfold. It's not like a month. It's like it's a long time. It's like where you're like, oh God, we've been doing it, and Spirit says, well, a lot of the lessons don't get learned right away. There's a lot of resistance. There's a runner. There's a chaser. There's games. There's hiding. There's a lot of, again, the behaviorisms that once you finally get past that, where the person finally gets to a place of spiritual equilibrium, they're ready to actually do the work. Where, again, if it wasn't a twin flame, believe me, they would not do the work. This person's life showed that they needed to get themselves up to a place of unconditional love where they love themselves. They treated you in a way where you felt neglected. That was one that you already had. But really, was to make you both during that time to do the healing, because once you get back together, you do know, and it's real. That otherwise it doesn't. You can't really heal. And then there's also, like, once we hit transformation, which we did, it's like, well, we leave off with one more card, and that is, ooh. Well, they flew out. We leave off with two more cards, and that is, oh, Lord. That is one step at a time and the path to light, right? So it says one step at a time, like meaning like you see the mountains ahead and you dedicate yourself to taking one small step at a time. So it's like to be in the moment is what Spirit's saying. With the twin flame connection, they can trigger you to get angry. They can trigger you to want to control. They can trigger all these negative energies, because your twin flame is the one that holds that mirror, is the one that's going to trigger you the most. There's going to be a lot of unconditional love, but there's also going to be a lot of, it's a challenging relationship. It's extremely challenging because they're your polar opposite. They're on the opposite side of the spectrum per se. So they think differently. They do things differently. They handle life differently. And it's not that it's wrong, but it's almost like maybe too logical, too analytical, where you might be someone that's very spiritual and handle things very intuitively and always come from the heart, where that's not wrong either, but it's also too much. Where when we have masculine energy and feminine energy, which, when you have meet your twin, they usually enhance your energy. So whichever one you are predominantly of, you're usually imbalanced too much. So the way that you deal, so you'll see spiritual blockages in certain areas of life because of that. So a person that's very logical, that's great in business, you know, is not going to be that emotionally intelligent. Where a spiritual person that's intuitive is going to be a lot more emotionally intelligent. So they're going to have better relationships, where the other person has better finances. That's an example. So when the twin flame gets together, they help heal each other. And so Spirit says, but it's the most challenging relationship. So one step at a time. It's like, that you focus on the present moment and the current task of whatever's happening, so that you don't continually fly off the handle, and that you understand that this relationship and everything is placed on your path to help you return back to the path to light. So you make the conscious choice to move towards the light one step at a time. You transform your weaknesses into strength, which is what a twin flame helps you do. By mastering your thoughts, you overcome obstacles with positivity and acceptance, and you develop your gifts and extend your light to every being unconditionally. And that's what a twin flame also helps you do, become the best version of yourself, because there is unconditional love. And what you realize is that you can't control this person and they can't control you. And you learn the higher levels of consciousness with that person. So believe me, there's a lot of forgiveness, there's a lot of compassion, there's a lot of persevering. And again, you're evolving into the highest state of consciousness, which is the energy of unconditional love, which the twin flame helps you do. But this is the path to light. It's not an easy path. It's not a short path. It's one that's very winding and up and down and takes years to unfold. All right, I'm going to leave that there. You let me know how you resonated, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.